most of you are good. That's great. For a minute there, we almost had no readings of the day, but you came to the rescue. That's great. What kind of a church would we be if we had, please be seated for the readings? Well, we have no readings today. Let's continue. There are two interesting, there are several messages, quite frankly, that come out of the gospel today. I want to go back to one of the readings, the Acts of the Apostles, and you see John and Peter have been called in and they cure the blind man. And so the authorities went out, what power, what right do you have to do this? Which is kind of strange, because you figured they should be saying, thank you for doing this, but they're not interested in this. They're saying, what power? Who gives you the right to do this? And Peter says, well, God, Jesus, gave us this right. And he goes on to explain to them. And he talks about how in Christianity you're baptized, you're brought into the world, into Jesus' life. Now, if you grew up in the Roman Catholic tradition, you might have been familiar with a place called limbo. Not the dance, but the place. We all know, and I always thought this, and I bet you most of you, if you were in that tradition, were taught this as well. If you died without being baptized, you went to limbo. And then it got even worse than that, didn't it? When babies died without being baptized, they cried for eternity in limbo. What a horrible thing to tell people, right? What a terrible thing to tell people. But you know, if you stop and think about this, no, I'm not going to defend limbo, don't worry. If you stop and think about this creation, created by man's interpretation. There's really no scriptural basis for it, by the way. But man's interpretation of this place. Look who's not there. Abraham is not there. Moses isn't there. Ruth, Miriam, Noah. You can go through the whole Old Testament. They're in limbo, rather. Right? They don't get to go on because they weren't baptized. So the theology surrounding limbo is really shaky at best. And it probably doesn't exist. Because if you think the words in the gospel, I have other sheep. Jesus is talking about those people who haven't had the opportunity to come to Christ. I have another flock. And really, does Jesus of Nazareth sound like the type of guy who would take infants and forever condemn them to crying and wailing? Of course not. It's appalling to even consider something like that. All right, enough of the negative stuff. Let's go to the scripture. The gospel today says to us, the good shepherd. And right at the beginning, he said, well, the hired hand, it doesn't really care a whole lot. So does that mean if you don't run your own business, you're not a good employee? No, of course not. It doesn't mean that at all. It means that you need to care. And if you think about this, the good shepherd, you know that when Jesus was talking and using things like the good shepherd, there was a real connection to the people. They understood what a good shepherd really was, because shepherding was an important part of their society. And we know shepherds are involved in Jesus' life right from the very beginning. The angels come to the shepherds at Jesus' birth. Right? So they can connect with this. And a good shepherd who would look after all the sheep also looked out for those sheep who would wander. And if you speak to farmers about this, and I've had to do this to learn this, sometimes a lamb will be one of those free spirits wander away from the flock. Just off it goes, and doing whatever lambs do when they wander away. And so the shepherd would have to leave the flock to go to get the lamb. And later on, Jesus talks about leaving to go and find something, right? Find the lamb and bring it back. That's what the good shepherd does. So the good shepherds, if they had a lamb that did this, they would fracture its leg. And now that sounds really bad. I heard it, you were shocked. Oh my God, how can you be a good shepherd? But listen, hear me out. And then the shepherd would hold this lamb in his arms until the leg was healed. And that shepherd, that lamb, from that day on, would be attached to the shepherd and would never wander away. So in doing something like that, the shepherd was ensured that the lamb would remain a part of the flock. And the lamb would have this great attachment to the shepherd because the shepherd had cared for it, had carried it because it couldn't walk. What an interesting phenomenon. You see, in ancient times when you talk about that, people understood, yeah, because that, a lamb was valuable. It was very important for the shepherd to the herd. And so to lose a lamb was a significant loss. So you would do anything you could to keep that lamb with you. And how does that relate to us? Well, we know, and I've talked about this many times and I will continue to talk about it. We know that here in our church community, here at Christ the Servant, we are called upon to be the good shepherds. And it means sacrificing. Following Jesus means sacrificing. Now, it doesn't mean you have to go great lengths. What it means, you have to sacrifice. And sometimes it's not an easy thing to do, is it? Sacrificing isn't an easy thing to do. But nowhere in Scripture does Jesus say, and I'm now going to give you the easy path to salvation. In fact, he says, here are 8 things, gives us the examples. Here are 8 things you can do, you should do. Then you look at it and say, whoa, this isn't easy stuff. Well, no, it isn't easy. But to the good shepherd, the shepherd who owns the flock, that person knew that their task to look after their sheep was a challenging and difficult one. And if you hired somebody who doesn't care about the sheep, the first sign of trouble, they're gone, they're out of there. And in our Christian faith, how often is it that we try to find the easy way around things? Consider that for a moment. The easy way around. Because if you're here in our church, if you're a part of our church community, we have expectations of you. Everyone has a role to play here. You don't just show up, get communion, and out the door you go. We expect you. We all expect each other to be good shepherds. It's not me expecting you, it's us expecting each other to be the good shepherds. And I see that not as a chore or a difficulty or a sword hanging over my head. That's a great challenge. I love that. That's a wonderful challenge. And how have we responded to those challenges? We have responded. We've stepped up. Again, I'll list some of the things we do. Because it's important. We need that reassurance in a day and age when we're bombarded with materialism. Own more, get more, don't give more. Hang on to what you've got. No. What we've done, we've helped people in our local community. We've helped people within our community who have been struggling. We've helped people in Africa, Sister Raphael. Not just with money, but with prayers, and prayers are important. We share our spirituality. And at the very beginning, I want to say we are one with the entire global community. That's an important phrase. It's very important to me. And that's a connection we have. At the beginning, I said, last Sunday I woke up wishing, that's a connection we have. I spoke before the service to Joan, and she said, on a regular Sunday, she'd be thinking, what are they doing at Christ the servant today. That's a connection we have. That's what good shepherds do. You think when the shepherd who owned the flock was in town getting feed or something, or going to a celebration, he didn't pause, I wonder what my sheep are up to today. I wonder how they're doing. Hope that guy I hired to look after them is doing his job. Of course he did, right? So when we are given the challenge of being good shepherds, we should, and we do, I'm not going to say we should, we rise to that occasion and happily say, yeah, you know what, I want to do that. I want to be a good shepherd. Bring it on. I'm ready. And we meet those challenges. And if we can't cope with the challenge ourselves, we have a whole group of shepherds we can count on. And it's even at the very basic level. Shepherds have put the chairs up. Shepherds play our music and sing or lead us in song. Shepherds do a great job of looking after the altar. And there's even a shepherd that gets me here to church on Sunday. Whose words are, Pastor, time to get up. Mind you, in Cuba, by 11 o'clock, she was usually heading down to the bar for her first drink. But who is the shepherd to judge?
Well, you were right behind her.
Oh, you betcha. Well, far be it from the pastor to let a parishioner drink by herself. There we go. You see that? Jesus loved laughter in the community, amongst the shepherds, the apostles, the disciples. There was laughter. Someone said to me, I forget, it was last week or whatever, very recently, you know, I go to church, it's not much fun. We never laugh. So you should come to our church. We laugh all the time. What kind of service do you have? Well, it's, you know, based on the Catholic model. You based on the Catholic model and you laugh at your services? A lot. Yeah. And the person said, well, my kids get really bored. Bring them out. They won't be bored. There's a lot of fun. We have fun. And they're supposed to have fun. Worship, spirituality. How can it not be enjoyable? It has to be. I love it, and I hear from you guys when you go away and you come back. I'm so happy to be back. Can you imagine that? Happy to be coming to church. What a bunch of weirdos, right? We're happy to be at church. But those are the things that make the good shepherds the good shepherds. And it's important that we all continue to be a part of that. And not sit back on our hands and say, well, for the past few years I've been a good shepherd, now I'm going to be the hired hand. No. You keep going. And you keep meeting the challenges. And so, in this post-Lenten season, let that be a bit of our theme, a personal theme for each one of us. How can I be a good shepherd today, or this week, or this month, or this year? How can I be a good shepherd? And it's a personal challenge that each one of us can meet